Hi, what I have here on the workbench today is a GFCI or ground fault circuit interrupter receptacle I recently swapped out from my kitchen. The reset button on the receptacle sometimes gets stuck, so I just bought a new one and replaced it. And you can see here, the reset button right now actually is totally stuck, but sometimes it works. So anyway, that's the reason I swapped it out. So I thought what I'm going to do in today's video is to open it up and take a look at how it works. This GFCI receptacle is made by Leviton, and it was manufactured at least more than 10 years ago. And here is a close-up, and you can see here it was manufactured by Leviton. Anyway, if you take a closer look, you can see that it actually has some safety features built in that prevents you from inserting random objects into the socket. You can see here the socket, I'm not sure how well it shows up, but it has these flap doors, these kind of shutters. You can see that if you're just trying to insert things in, you can't, because there are these shutters physically preventing you from inserting objects into it. Now, these are interlocked, so the only way you can insert something in is to push both ends at the same time, for example, right now. So the only way it works is if you insert a plug into the socket. So basically, this is how it works with a proper plug. Of course, if you're trying to insert something just into one, you can't. This kind of receptacles are also known as temper resistance receptacles. Unlike in some other parts of the world, such as in the UK, temper-resistant receptacles are actually not that common in the United States. In my opinion, these shutters should be mandatory because a young child could easily stick something in and potentially get an electric shock, or worse. I suppose the saving grace here is that in the United States, the line voltage is only at 120. All right, let me open it up and take a look at what's inside. All right, before I take it further apart, let me actually show you this in action. So here is the shutter mechanism, as we mentioned earlier, and let me try to poke the tips through. You can see that we're able to, well, it's a little bit hard to maneuver here. If we press on both sides, you can see that we're able to push it in. Let me remove this mechanism carefully, and we'll take a closer look. You can see that actually the construction is surprisingly simple. If I flip it around, try to take this piece out. Essentially, it's a two-piece design. You can see we have this spring, and here is the sliding mechanism. I guess the magic happens with this catch in the middle. And that's illustrated in this patent drawing. So I guess the idea is, you can see here, this whole mechanism slides back and forth. And this mechanism will only engage if you have both sides inserted at the same time. Very clever. Again, let me show you. You can see that. You can push these open if you apply the force evenly. But if you're trying to insert into just one of the openings, I guess the catch gets stuck. So you won't be able to push in any further. Now let's take a look at the circuit board. Before I flip it over, you can see that this is actually rather compact because the entire circuitry and mechanism needs to fit in a standard socket. I just zoomed in a little bit more. So you can see here is actually the solenoid that is actually actuated when the ground fault is detected. When the reset button is pushed down, now it's a little bit hard to demonstrate because the parts are not in place. But when you push down the button here, it will actually lift this copper strip. And the copper strips would essentially make contact with this stationary piece and thus close the circuit. Now, I'm pretty sure this mechanism is also covered by a patent. Now, speaking of patents, we actually have more on this side. You can see here we have a MOV. And in fact, this design is also mentioned in one of the patents. The patent mentioned that a MOV is coupled in parallel with a spark gap for surge suppression. So I assume the spark gap is right here. Now, if you look carefully, you will see that we actually have two of these concentric cores here, and they're actually two separate current transformers. Why do we have two transformers here? Well, for ground leakage detection, we only need one. And I think the leakage current is being picked up by the inner core here. As you can see, we have actually these sides are the live and neutral, and these two metal strips actually go through the transformer. You can see these come out from the other side. So essentially, they form a single-turn winding. When the circuit is operating normally, the current goes through the live and neutral would be exactly the same. In a ground fault situation, some of the current goes through a separate path into the ground directly, and that is actually outside the circuit here. So the current flowing through the live and neutral would be ever so slightly different, for example, a few milliamps. And that difference is being picked up by the sensing coil right here, and the GFCI circuitry would trip the solar relay and thus disconnect the live circuitry. So that's in general how ground fault detection works. But there's another fault mode, which is a shorted neutral and ground outside the electrical panel. And this is important because the ground and neutral are actually tied together at exactly one place, and that is in your electrical panel. Ground wires are not designed to carry any significant current. If the neutral and ground are connected anywhere else, other than a single point in the panel, current could flow through the ground wire at the point of contact. And depending on the current and resistance, you could have a situation where ground potential is no longer zero. And this would be dangerous if the operator touches, say, supposedly grounded surface. This fault condition is referred to as grounded neutral. Anyway, for this reason, almost all modern GFCI receptacles employ some kind of grounded neutral detection circuitry. And this is why you have a second coil here. You can see we have an inner coil and outer coil. And the outer coil here is for grounded neutral detection. By the way, these two coils don't have to be concentric. And the reason Leviton did this, I assume, is to save space. Grounded neutral detection is somewhat more complicated, and there are a few methods for doing this. Again, in this Leviton GFCI, there is another patent covering the specific method used in this device. If you're interested, you can read the patent. But to dumb it down, the grounded neutral detection circuitry would inject a high-frequency signal into the neutral and then detect the signal from the return path through ground. And because the characteristics would be different for the ground and neutral conditions, depending on where they're connected together, for example, the inductance of the loop would decrease if the short occurs closer to the socket versus to the junction box. Anyway, from a high level, the circuit is tuned to pick up the altered amplitude and phase response of the injected signal being picked up and trigger the grounded neutral fault protection, again, tripping the GFCI. Now let me flip it over and we can see the circuit board side. And the reason I didn't start from this side is because you can see we have this layer of conformal coating on top, so you can't really see the markings on most of the components. But you can certainly appreciate how neatly everything is laid out. At the center of this specific GFCI is this 20-pin chip. Now, while there are a few 20-pin GFCI chips available on the market, the pinout actually does not quite match up. Specifically, you can see here, I'm not sure how well it shows up, but these two pins are pin 15 and pin 16. These are shorted together. This actually does not match any of the circuit diagrams I can find on the chips available in this packaging. So my guess here is that Leviton GFCI board actually uses a microcontroller for the job. And in fact, there are a few patents I can find that support my suspicion here. In one of the patents, the processor depicted also has 20 pins. And if you look at the circuit board, you'll see this SOT223 device, and I'm pretty sure that's a linear regulator. Overall, the entire circuit board looks very impressive and very well made. There are a lot of other safety features in these modern GFCI receptacles. One such feature, for example, is that they're usually shipped in disconnected state. And once you wire it up, it will detect whether the wiring is correct or not before you can actually reset the device, and that's an additional safety feature. So that's all I wanted to cover in this video. Hopefully now you know the effort that goes into the designs of these GFCI receptacles, and I'm still amazed at how many patents are out there just for a single device like this. I hope you enjoyed the video and learned something new. If you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future. If you wanted to further support my work, please consider joining the channel and becoming a member. Your participation makes videos like this possible. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.